Welcome, everyone, to the Spend Life Well show, where we apply biblical wisdom to your financial journey, helping you align your values with your wealth. I'm certified Kingdom Advisor Mark Trice here in the podcast studio. Today's topic, we are going to talk about one of the challenges facing many Americans today, and it's you know who you are if you're part of the sandwich generation. And these are folks that are adults in their 40s and 50s and 60s that are helping care for their aging parents, maybe helping them through retirement, still caring for their children, whether that be at home or navigating early adulthood. And stuck in the middle are the folks that are doing all that all the time. This is a very personal topic for me in recent months as my wife and I have been caring for parents and also children at the same time. I never really thought I'd be a part of the sandwich generation. I just thought my parents were going to be taking care of themselves, and our children would raise themselves by themselves. It didn't work out that way. But so we're going to talk about this topic today, whether you're part of the sandwich generation or you're helping someone else navigate that time. Today's conversation is about creating a plan that allows you to care for the people that you love without jeopardizing your own financial journey. Okay, today's scripture is from Ecclesiastes 4, verses 9 through 10. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. For if either of them falls, one will lift up his companion. And families, we're meant to care for each other. That's what families are about, is caring for each other. But wise stewardship also requires planning so that helping today doesn't unintentionally create hardship for tomorrow. So I want to ask, who is in the sandwich generation? There's really not an age that we put that in, but it generally tends to be people that have younger children or young adult children and aging parents. So whether you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or whatever, all of us will experience this time and this season in our life at some point. So, it's really where we're talking about making sure that we're, on our journey for retirement. We're trying to save for the future. We're trying to pay for college, and we're also trying to care for parents. And that helping parents can be helping them financially or physically. Maybe, they need help around the home, or they need help with some of the activities of daily living because we didn't plan for long-term care or whatever it may be. And believe me, you can get in a situation where you just feel all squeezed. You've got it coming at you from all sides. It can be overwhelming, both physically, spiritually, emotionally, and financially. And we're going to talk today a little bit about some of the things that we can do, but some of the things that might be in covering here. We're talking about financial things, covering prescription costs, paying for home modifications, providing ongoing monthly support. Now, a lot of this has to do with a generation that maybe did not plan for their long-term care needs. Some of it may be we just did not have enough savings to take care of these things. And we're dealing in the sandwich generation where we feel guilty if we say no, right? And that's okay to be able to say no to things. So here's some of the things we need to talk about here today. You don't want to let, from the sandwich generation, you don't want to let your retirement become the casualty of all these responsibilities. It is very easy and to make mistakes. It is very easy just to say yes. It's very hard to say no. And one of the biggest mistakes that people tend to make is reducing or stopping their retirement contributions to help family members, which, that can create significant problems later on. We can borrow money for college. You cannot borrow money for retirement. And in fact, we see a lot of people in retirement that still are paying for college. But every year you stop investing means that you're losing some of that time, which creates compound growth for our savings and our investments. So we need to ask ourselves, am I helping from a position of financial strength? Or am I sacrificing my own future because I haven't established boundaries? And I wish we had my significant other on the show with us today, Holly, to help us talk about those boundaries, because I think she's had to deal with this in the care of her family as well. Many parents, they don't want us. My parents, they don't want us to they don't want to be a financial burden for us. Ironically, because they neglected their own retirement, may have actually created the situation where we have to help them. So prioritizing your retirement isn't selfish at all. It's about making sure that you're one day be in a position to be able to care for others. But I see too many people that just sacrifice that retirement just because mom and dad were not prepared. And I think we all want to support mom and dad and care for them. But what I see sometimes is people are leaving the workforce too early, or they're sacrificing the amount of work they can do so that they are caring for parents. So if you don't want to be in that situation, or to put your children in that situation later on, make sure you're preparing adequately for your own retirement, for your own long-term care needs, and so forth. I think one of the key strategies here is you start talking about long-term care needs early. We have a client that we're dealing with she's in her 30s, and it's something that she's had to deal with her family, and she does not want to put her children in the same situation. And so we're talking about long-term care needs and long-term care policies. So, some discussions that you need to have, and if your parents are in their 60s or early 70s, these are good conversations to have. Where would your parents prefer to receive care? Would they rather stay in the home as long as they possibly can, or would they rather go into an independent living situation? Another question is, have they prepared powers of attorney, legal documents, which allow you to help them with some of their financial affairs when they're not able to do so effectively anymore? You want to find out from your parents, do they have long-term care? I know I've seen some situations where a family was caring for mom, paying for assisted living for a while, and then ultimately 24/7 skilled nursing care, only to find out after her passing that she had purchased a long-term care policy years ago and just forgot about it because of her diminished capacity. Make sure you're having these conversations early on. This situation, the children spend a lot of money for her care, only to find out that she had something that would help them with that. Make sure you're making and disclosing, if you're the parents, you're disclosing to your children what you have so that they may be able to help you with making those decisions. And then understanding, as part of that, not only long-term care insurance or policies, but having, what funds do you have available? We may not need long-term care if we have sufficient funds. And then questions about who will make financial and medical decisions for your mom or dad if they're unable to. And in many cases, the discussion before there's urgency actually strengthens, I think, those family relationships. Far too often, when the crisis is at hand, is not the time to be figuring out all these different things. But I see that so many times. And all it took was a couple of conversations with mom and dad about their situation. Now, I understand my parents were baby boomers, okay? And they don't necessarily want to disclose if they've saved any money, because they're pretty sure that I'm just waiting around to grab it myself. I'm being facetious here. But they're very private, and they don't necessarily want to share all that information. Certainly the greatest generation before the baby boomers, certainly they were that way, very much so. So make sure you're having the conversations before there's an urgent need, because I can't tell you the number of times I've seen more crisis created because mom or dad did not have conversations with their children about their care. So I'm reminded here of Proverbs 27:12. A prudent person sees evil and hides himself, but the simple proceed and pay the penalty. So really preparing for that potential crisis allows families to make thoughtful and educated decisions instead of emotional ones. I can't tell you, I know I've said this many times, I've just seen it. I've been around for a long time and I've seen these situations where one child is very emotional about logical decisions that need to be made for mom's care, and it disrupts the whole family and delays mom's actual care that she needs to get. So having this discussion early on will save you a lot of heartache and headache if a crisis does arise. If it never happens and there's no crisis, great, wonderful. But making sure that we're talking about it in advance is very important. I also think, and this is the next point that I wanted to make, we need to set healthy financial boundaries. Sometimes the greatest gift that we could is helping people make wise financial decisions themselves. This means talking to mom about her finances. And we were meeting with clients today, and the husband wanted me to talk to his wife about her Amazon habit, as he says. But you need to set those healthy boundaries. If you are the supporting child, helping mom, or even an adult child, you want to set monthly boundaries about how much you're willing to assist. I see this on both sides of the equation, whether it's helping out mom or helping out that adult child that hasn't quite left the nest. They don't make good decisions themselves. You need to make sure that you're setting a monthly amount that you're comfortable with, but it should not, and I've seen this before, it should not jeopardize your own future. So if you're not able to contribute and help them, then maybe we shouldn't be doing anything at all. I know it's hard as a parent to see our children struggle or to see our parents struggle, but if we're not able to make those comfortably make those financial decisions like that to contribute, we shouldn't be doing them because we're causing more harm to ourselves than we are helping. I think another good healthy boundary is offering guidance instead of unlimited financial assistance. I'm thinking of one right now with adult children, and we have kids that are in their 40s and 50s, and mom is still paying for their cell phone bill. And these are capable adults. These are not disabled adults that cannot work. These are capable adults. They just know that mom is a free lunch ticket, and they're willing to take advantage of mom. Well, mom, I'm telling you, encouraging you today, put your foot down. Do not continue to support them. If they want a phone, they can pay for it themselves through their own financial means or work. I think another healthy boundary is to help that person that you're helping create a spending plan or a budget. Help them see this is the money we have to work with. This is what we need to do. I know I was counseling a family recently where mom is staying in the house too long and she needs to move to an assisted living or some other facility. She's frequently falling and so forth, and she's running out of resources that she can use to pay for her own care and sustenance. And the house is paid for. That's an asset, and it's maybe time to sell that asset to help fund her additional needs for the remainder of her life. But helping them create the budget to see what the situation is, how much money they have, or as I say sometimes, how much runway do they have left before they run out of money. Another thing you can do to set good financial boundaries is to connect family members with appropriate professionals, like a financial advisor or an attorney or someone, a CPA, that can help them spell out their financial picture. Because a lot of times, we as family members, it's the wisdom that we provide mom and dad or those adult children. It often sounds different if it's coming from someone that has the letters CPA or JJD or CFP behind their name, because you're a professional. And you know how it is with our teenage children as they're growing up. At some point in there, mom and dad are just pretty dumb, and we don't know how mom and dad got that far in life, but they're pretty dumb because as a teenager, we know everything. And sometimes talking to other professionals can help them see that these are the things you do. And oh, by the way, mom and dad are somewhat intelligent. It comes around, in their 20s, they come back and say, oh, mom and dad were actually kind of wise. But helping them create a budget and connecting family members to the appropriate professionals can really do that. And one thing that is hard sometimes, because, as families grow up and they move around the country, they don't all stay in the same place these days. You need to get some help and get your siblings to share some of those responsibilities, especially for your parents. And make it clear, these are the expectations that we have for caring for mom, and everybody needs to help. And because a lot of financial misunderstandings take place because we never talked about it, and everybody has their own assumptions. Take time to talk about how we're going to care for mom and dad, and you can make sure that you create these healthy boundaries, and that really helps, number one, preserve relationships, because that's so important, and reduce resentment and protect everyone's financial position. So I encourage everybody to build a family plan instead of reacting to crisis. A lot of families, we just make financial decisions at one emergency at a time, and that's sad. But we can talk about things and prepare for what we're going to do in that situation when those things arise. You want to first start and review your own financial projections. Make sure your financial plan is on track for success. You need to understand your parents' financial situation. And parents, I'm talking to you now. Please do not miss the opportunity to talk to your children, especially the responsible ones, about your personal financial situation. It is not going to help you when they're surprised that you no longer have any money to support yourself. They need to plan ahead. They need to help you prepare and plan ahead. So you want to discuss those expectations with adult children. We've had conversations with our parents. One parent wants to make sure that they get to stay in their home as long as possible. I know my mom, while she was alive, she made me swear to her that I would never put her in a nursing home. So that was, I made that promise. She passed away long before it was time, but, make sure you understand your expectations. Make sure you're communicating that to your children as well, so that they will follow your wishes and not just mistreat you in any way. You want to make sure you're evaluating your insurance coverage and updating those estate planning documents, the advanced medical directive, the power of attorney. Make sure those wills are up to date. And I recommend, if you're in that sandwich generation right now, try to set aside some reserves for caregiving, just so that you're prepared in the event of an emergency or a crisis where we are put in a position where we have to help. And if you write it down, that makes it even more clear, more actionable, and fewer emotional decisions. So I'm going to wrap up here with a question that I want to ask the audience is, how do I know when helping family has gone too far? Well, there's some telltale warning signs, and I think you should pay attention to these things. If you are consistently withdrawing from your retirement savings to help a family member, that's a red flag. It's gone too far. If you're accumulating debt to help others, that's a red flag. You've gone too far. If this additional financial stress is affecting your marriage or your health, you've gone too far. And if you're delaying your own saving for your own financial goals, that's gone too far as well. If you find yourself helping because of guilt instead of thoughtful planning, and it's usually in every family, there's always one sibling that's guilty about not helping enough, and they usually are the ones that do most of the helping. You want to make sure that you're helping is strengthening the family, not creating financial instability or emotional or physical instability for another generation. We don't want to see you worn down so that you're needing uh, health and financial assistance too early. That just is repeating the process again. I know one thing I observed my dad when he was caring for my mom when she was in her final stages of life, and just how worn down he was emotionally, physically. He lost a lot of weight. All things that could have been helped a little bit if there had been some other financial preparation. Now, this is not to say that mom and dad didn't financially prepare. They did. Their situation was more so of convincing my mom to let others in to help. And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother podcast. But the sandwich generation, I'm in that generation right now. You may be too if you're listening to this. You face unique situations, financial, emotional, physical, and mental, that require intentional planning. You want, number one, man, to make sure you're protecting your own retirement. And long-term care conversations are much easier to talk about when you're not in the crisis. So talking about it beforehand helps you. And then wise stewardship means caring for others while also preparing for your own future. So I want you to take time to evaluate your own finances if you're in this sandwich generation, or even if you're not and your parents are aging. We need to have some conversations. So I encourage you at a good time to have those conversations like, okay, Mom, what if you're not able to take care of yourself? What do you want us to do? And talking about those. That's not threatening. You're not asking them how much money they have in their bank account. It's from a position of caring. And as children of our parents and children of a loving God, we want to make sure that we're caring for others and caring for our family. I think it's one of the things that Scripture talks about. If this is something you'd like to talk about further, or you need some assistance, you can always contact us at info@clearvistafinancial.com. You can visit our website at that same domain address, clearvistafinancial.com. And you can always text us a quick question at 254-282-0495. That's 254-282-0495. Folks, this is kind of a tough topic. You may be in this situation yourself right now. We'd love to talk to you, to assist you and give you some help and some prayer. Until next time, folks, you've been listening to the Spend Life Well Show. Thanks for joining us.
Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Clear Vista Financial are not affiliated. Discussions in the show should not be construed as recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions.